Welcome back. We've got another episode of We Don't Color on the Dog. We've got Chad Henderson. We're on the county commission agenda this week is there. We're finally may have a deal on OLF 8, 42.5 million. Chad, I know you're with your son taking a vacation right now, but thank you for coming on right today.
Well, Rick, always happy to join you and certainly always appreciative of your interest in anything that we've got going on. So no, thanks for inviting me.
Well, OF8 is very important to Escambia County. That's the last piece of tract of land that is right on the interstate that has huge potential. I mean, it's a almost a 3-decade process of getting to where we are today. This wasn't an easy negotiation, was it?
No, certainly it hasn't been easy and times have been a bit cumbersome. But I think if it wasn't such an important, impactful, and special piece of property, then there's a lot of different stakeholders with a lot of different viewpoints, and certainly every one of those stakeholders as they are passionate as they should be about how this comes together. So you're right, it's taken a long time, but hopefully we're at a point where we can see a clear path to move forward.
Well, the thing that's always interested me about y'all's proposal was that there's been a lot of misinformation. I mean, the agreement that's before the county commission this Thursday really incorporates the master plan. People were worried about, will the town center go away? Will it, is it going to be all industrial or is it going to be all residential? And y'all have taken an approach that the master plan is critical to what y'all are offering.
Yeah, I think one of the things, Rick, that we have focused on in in the last several months leading up to this is that there has been a statement that has been made, throughout the back and forth conversations that we and other parties and other folks have said the spirit by keeping the spirit of the master plan. And one of the things that we worked really hard over the last few months is try to explain what that means. And so there have been meetings with each of the county commissioners to really showcase really what that means of keeping this within the spirit of the master plan. Look, Rick, I mean, there are some items within the master plan that need clarity, and that's what we were really pointing to about when we were thinking of augmenting the plan. It's really to present more clarity around the plan. But at no point were we shying away from notions of town centers and job creation alike. I mean, we're keenly focused on those.
Well, Chad, one thing that excited me about you've put together a team, and you have got a group of partners in this deal that have done this and understand how to develop uh, a development that is multifaceted. And talk a little bit about that, because I think that kind of gets lost in the mix too.
Right. I think, part of the process or the curation of the team was done so in a mindset where we were bringing skill sets and experience to the table that help to move a project of this magnitude forward in a way that presents kind of quality and a focus on the desired outcomes that we're all after. We talked about in presentations and in past conversations about the importance of creating, a beating heart of Beulah, a heart of Beulah in a town center that would have things like walkability and experiences that create human connectivity and curating uses that are of kind of placemaking, intentional about being in placemaking and creating quality experience where people want to spend, time and hard-earned money and create, memories and spend time with the people they want to be around. In addition to that, we've also talked about how job creation was at the forefront of this project from the very get-go, and trying to create the right jobs. What we have done with bringing in the Wilson family and Will Wilson and team, they have a long history with experience of executing on projects just like these and getting the desired outcomes that all the stakeholders want. So like if you talk about what they're doing up right now in Redstone Arsenal up in Huntsville, I mean it's just an absolutely fantastic project that they have worked on for the better part of 15 plus years, and now there's 8,000 plus jobs, and great jobs with great companies that we would all love to bring to Pensacola. In addition, they have experience in creating walkable communities that have a host of other job creation opportunities, residential, civic aspects to those projects, retail, and then if you layer in what we've been able to do at Catalyst, I think within kind of the health and wellness realm, also in both of us, having a very deep bench as it relates to capital partners and access to capital. I mean, Rick, this project is going to be a massive amount of capital when it's all said and done, and you got to have the access to that capital and the right partnerships and the right skill sets to bring to the table to make sure you can execute on that. So curating the team is something that has been very important to us. I mean, if you think about also the addition of Ashton to the team and his background of what he was able to do and experience that he brings with the connections and network in state and local governments and even at the federal level, that I think would be very important for a project this size, because we're going to have to interact with a whole host of different agencies, and those relationships are important, and we just got to remain focused and be and really be intentional about what we're doing with the right capital partners, the right users, all directed towards, again, I keep saying it, but the desired outcomes that we all know and want. So,
Chad, I appreciate you taking time away from your family to do this, but with the vote right on top of us, I felt like we need to try to do it today. So thank you for doing it. When you're back in town, we'll catch up again, but thank you for doing this today.
Rick, I'm always, I'm super thankful of your interest in me and my team members, and thankful for what you do in our community as well. So yeah, we'll chat soon.
All right. Take care. On We Don't Color on the Dog, we've got David Baer, who is part of Triumph Gulf Coast and chairman of the Tourist Development Council. David, thank you for doing this morning.
Thank you, Rick. I appreciate it.
We're finding this tourism marketing is almost at a halt now. We've got invoices are showing that over $2 million, almost $2.5 million now, of tourism marketing bills haven't been paid. The visitor center utilities bills haven't been paid. And a Triumph match hasn't been paid by the clerk's office. You've been trying, I know the TDC has brought it up in several meetings, just looking for a checklist to figure out how to get through this bureaucratic red tape that's going on.
Right. I don't really know what's going on. The clerk of the court obviously administers the tourist development tax program for the county, and she's allowed to make rules within the statute on what's expected for collecting the remitted taxes from the hoteliers, et cetera, and on rules on the spend, like what is required to be turned over as evidence of the authorized expenditures of the tourist development tax. But she's not publishing those rules. She's just keeping those to herself. And so it seems to be an ever changing goal line. I mean, it's just every single time one of the organizations tries to submit their documents to get reimbursed for their expenditures, it's not enough. They do exactly what she expected last month, which was a little bit more unreasonable than prior months, but this month it's not enough. We need more. And there's no expectation of what to turn over. And so, like you said, there's these, past due payments that are really damaging, potentially damaging our tourism. I mean, when Visit Pensacola is talking about possibly having to borrow money to pay their bills, to reimburse the advertising agencies for their creative work that they've done and the advertising placement to develop tourism using tourist development tax is just unnecessary. It's unreasonable. It's unjustifiable. I don't know what's really going on.
Well, and the thing that I found is another thing that's unusual, David, is that the Visit Pensacola and all those invoices go to the county. The county verifies based on the rules that they think they've been given by the clerk's office. Well, not even rules, it's just what they've seen happen on past rejection of invoices. And then they send it to the county and nothing happens. And then Visit Pensacola has to, ad agencies call Visit Pensacola, then they call Stephen Hall, the finance director. Stephen sends an email over to the county and they come back and say, well, you need X, Y, and Z. His office sends it back to Visit, who sends it back to the ad agencies, and they scramble and they do everything they need to do. And they rush to get it back because they want to pay their vendors. Then it goes into a black hole again. Nothing's heard. You've seen the emails. I've seen the emails. Finally, ad agencies ask again. They go back to Visit. Visit goes back to the county. The county asks a question. They say, oh, well, we need this. It's a constant drag your feet. And you're looking at stuff, invoices from September that haven't been paid.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like you mentioned earlier about the Triumph grant. There is a regional tourism marketing group who joined together after the oil spill to try to help themselves, work together to recover from the oil spill themselves, right? Just for tourism marketing. And under the Triumph statutes that, created Triumph and directs Triumph on how to spend the money, it dictates to Triumph that it must be also spent on tourism, but through Visit Florida. It is one of the 7 different statutory requirements for the Triumph spend. And so it is not for any one specific county within the Triumph, 8 disproportionately affected counties. It is for Visit Florida to market the entire 8-county area to help them with the recovery and diversification of tourism, right? So this regional association of
the Northwest Florida Tourism Council is what it's called.
Thank you. Yes, I should know that. They convinced Visit Florida to come to Triumph and apply for a grant, and they got $10.5 million in a grant, which must be matched, right? So each one of those counties put up their own tourist development tax to match that grant application, and it's to be used for marketing, for tourism development in the disproportionately affected counties. And they did it based on some pro rata amount on their collections. So it was fair across the board for all 8 counties. They put in their own, prorated amount. And the clerk has decided she didn't like that. Well, first she said it's not authorized. That's not what Triumph does. Well, she's wrong. The statute's clear. It's in black and white. It does do that. The legislature told Triumph they must do that. And now she's saying it's just too much. She doesn't agree with the amount. And she really has no authority over what is tourism development, if an amount is too much for tourism development, if the county approves it, if the TDC is recommending it, and it fits within the statute. She has no authority over how much may be spent and really whether or not it should get reimbursed. The only thing that she can do is make rules on what is required to turn in. Yeah, she has the authority to set rules, but she needs to publish those rules. It's not even just a matter of sitting down with people. When the county makes a rule, it passes an ordinance. Right? And so the people know what the ordinance is. When the state of Florida passes a rule, it's called a law. They set the law. So people know what the expectation is and you live within it. And so everyone wants to be transparent. Everyone wants to provide whatever documentation is necessary to facilitate this program. The only one who's not being transparent is our clerk of the court. She is keeping this to herself, and she's picking and choosing when she wants to apply it and how much pressure she wants to apply and to whom she wants to apply it. And it's problematic. I mean, when you have people like, Dick Appleyard and Duncan McCall, those, the Appleyard Agency and Duncan McCall out $1.2 million of their own money and waiting and waiting and waiting, it's unreasonable.
They have done this for 10 years. That's the other piece. It's not like these are people that have done a bad job, that they haven't, their invoices have been paid routinely for 10 years now. And we see the results of the tourism marketing. While everyone else has been slipping, we're holding our own. But I'm worried that if we keep this up, when we go, we should be booking fall marketing right now. And if the ad agencies can't pay the vendors, and our visitor center can't stay open anymore because she won't pay the bills, is bringing a halt to a very important industry to our county.
Yep. Yeah. And so if the destination marketing organization has to get a loan in order to cash flow the work that they are doing on behalf of the county, who's responsible for paying those interest rates, those interest charges on the loan? Because that you have to go to the bank to get it because the county's not going to loan it to them because the clerk's not going to write the check.
Right.
So what gives? I mean, when does this stop? When is the clerk going to want to try to do the right thing by, what she was elected to do, which is to be, the watchdog, the gatekeeper, the check holder. But she is the check holder, write the checks. When you have all the documentation that shows this is tourism development, the county has supported it, the Tourist Development Tax Council has supported it, fits squarely within the purpose of the law. Why are you holding checks?
Right. Yeah. Tomorrow, on Wednesday, they hope to have a big meeting with Visit Pensacola with the clerk. The first time she's sat down with the people that are handling tourism marketing, and hopefully checks will start flowing on Thursday. If not, I think the county commission needs to have an open discussion item in their meeting so the public can hear exactly how bad this is. And hope it's no one wants to get into a fight. No one wants legal bring in attorneys. I think everybody just we want to take this one industry that's critical to our economy. So hopefully we'll get some action on it on Wednesday, June 4th. So hopefully that'll happen. David, thank you so much for coming on today. Leave it up just for a few seconds after I close it so that all the files get loaded up, and then
Okay.
I'll publish it. All right. Thanks, man.
Great. Thank you, Rick.
All right. Bye. Florida legislators are meeting in Tallahassee, working out the budget. We've got state rep with us, Alex Andrade. Alex, thank you for doing the show this morning.
Good morning, Rick.
Now, you handle the healthcare side of the budget, and your counterpart is Jay Trumbull over in Panama City. The news that came out yesterday was that y'all are looking at cutting vacant positions. Your number is a little bit different than a great bit different than the Senate side, and then just the overall, looking at the size of the budget for healthcare. Tell us what's going on in the negotiations.
Well, one sticking point, and it's not really a sticking point, it's just how many vacant positions do we want to cut and how do we measure it? My initial budget proposed cutting vacant positions of 90 days or more. And that resulted in a cut of something like 1,800 positions at one agency alone. Again, these are positions that aren't filled and they haven't been filled in 3 months or more, but it was a significant number. So I anticipate today, when I publish my budget, probably in a few moments, people will see for the majority of agencies I came off that 90-day and pushed it back to 180 days. If a position hasn't been filled in 6 months, and there's no evidence that a position is going to be filled in the near future, we cut it. For that one agency, Department of Health, that had 1,800 plus vacant positions for 90 days, that still left us with a cut of 1,600 positions.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, there's several state agencies that just haven't filled these positions, and if you can go half a year without filling a position, you have to start wondering if that position is necessary.
Well, I know on a local budget with the city or a county, vacant positions, if they don't fill it, that money stays in that agency or that department, and it sort of becomes play money that they can redo it a lot of different ways. Does the same thing happen in the state? If that money's still there, they can reallocate it to their favorite programs or wherever they want to go with it.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's been used traditionally, and we've been trying to cut down on it. It's been used traditionally as a creative way to make ends meet at state agencies, and that's not necessarily proper. I mean, we legislate, we appropriate funds for specific activities. And I understand the desire to have more leeway, but that's not the legislative intent of our budget.
Right. Now, the other thing that you had talked about it earlier, there was the Medicaid regulator has had issues with Medicaid, and y'all have given them the money to deal with it. And in the past, they haven't dealt with it. Where's that? It was about what, $160 million or so?
Yeah. So 3 years ago, we gave $160 million to a state agency to pay a federal fine. They used the money for cash flow instead, and they never paid the federal fine. They've asked us for $160 million more to pay the same fine. And yesterday, Senator Trumbull, informed folks that he thinks they need to make up for that fine and that those misspent funds with existing funds. I think that they can, unless they're saying some of those expenditures that they made were illegitimate with that money. I think they should be able to make ends meet and pay that fine without another appropriation of the same $160 million.
So right now, they're not going to get the $160 million. Is that where we are now? Okay. All right. The other thing in just looking at it overall, I know it was an issue for your committee and for the other committees, particularly you dealing with ACA, is to get more timely reports. That's sort of what I'm reading in all the different articles of covering Tallahassee, is that is going to be added to what y'all pass, that you want more reporting on a more timely basis.
Yeah, no, and that's great policy. A lot of that's being driven by the Senate. That's in their proposals in things like our proviso language. That's a lot of that I intend to accept when our offers come out on proviso language and implementing bill language. One thing that I plan on proposing is to withhold the salaries of state agency secretaries and certain higher level administrative staff until they produce the documents I asked for them this session. One of your main jobs as, say, an agency secretary is to communicate with the legislature and provide us updates about what you're doing. If you can't do a simple ministerial task like providing me the documents I've asked for, which are simple and identified, I don't think you're doing your job, and I don't think you deserve to get paid if you're not doing your job.
Now, how big a gap is what the House has for healthcare in the Senate? What's the two differences there?
I think starting out it was about $3 billion, but we're getting into the range of less than $500 million. We're coming in. Our offer today, this morning, to the Senate's going to be closing that gap even further. Senator Trumbull is just a great person to work with. He's reasonable. He's extremely intelligent. He's up on every line in his budget. It just makes it very easy to work with him. So hopefully he's pleased by my offer this morning, and we can actually close out the healthcare budget pretty quick.
Well, he was a former House rep himself. He was a big player in the early part of Triumph, keeping the monies here in the Panhandle. So he's and to have two people from the Panhandle involved, that helps a lot too. Hopefully. So where you are right now, you've got a proposal. Is it being reviewed by the House Speaker right now and his team? Where you stand on getting this out?
Yeah, so the process for a budget chair is I'm allowed to craft it, and then it just needs to get blessed. And so, anytime you get back notes that are limited, it's great. So I had 2 notes at midnight last night on my proposed offer, and so we're just accommodating those 2 notes, and we'll go from there. I mean, it's my job to make sure that I'm aware and advocating for the House's position on a lot of things. I'm not giving in too much to the Senate position, so that hopefully we each come 50% towards the middle. And so that's what I've been working on. And again, like I've had the benefit of doing this for 2 previous years with transportation and economic development. So it makes it a little bit easier for me to kind of, see the forest through the trees.
Great. Alex, good luck today. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Rick.
All right. Take care. Well, we're back on We Don't Color on the Dog. We've got with us Escambia County Sheriff Chip Simmons. Chip, thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Rick. How are you doing?
Well, I've missed you. We haven't, it's one of those months between UWF and the legislature and a lot of other things. And y'all had your hands full with the memorial, opening it. Of course, Blazer Academy, those pictures were just heartwarming about that. And then, gosh, 2 recent major drug busts that you've had. Let's talk about the enforcement side first.
Okay.
2 houses in Escambia County. I saw the pictures on Facebook, a boatload of guns and drugs and money. Tell us about it.
Well, I mean, we talked a lot over the last couple of years really about our focus with regards to narcotic investigation and the connection between the drugs and the guns and the fentanyl and overdoses. And so we've prioritized that. We talked about what we have done here at the sheriff's office regarding the number of people that are available to do narcotics investigations. And we have practically doubled the number of investigators that we have, because the focus again was to get not just what I call the street level dealers, but to get the people that are bringing it in, the people, the mid level, and many times the upper level distributors, the people actually bringing it in into our community. And what we posted recently was some pictures. I want people to understand what type of people that we're dealing with and just how dangerous they are. You've seen the pictures of the guns. They're not just AR-15 type guns or assault rifle type guns. Two of those weapons, one was what they used to call like an Uzi, which is a fully automatic weapon, and one was a 9mm that had a little trigger switch that makes it, I'm not a gun expert, but makes it fully automatic. These are very serious weapons. There are a lot of the weapons. There's a lot of drugs in these photographs. So that's why we had to use or we chose to use really our SWAT team to kick these doors in, to serve the search warrants, because these are dangerous people.
Well, and I noticed in the press release, it's the field force unit. What's that?
Yeah.
What's a field force unit?
Well, sometimes we need additional manpower. What we do is we do an assessment for everything that we do practically. We do an assessment for the Blue Angels, and we do assessment every time we attempt to do a search warrant, and we grade it out based upon who we think is there, whether they have a history of violence, history of gun use, and then we decide we need more people. So because we were doing practically 3 search warrants at the same time, an A and a B on units on F Street, and then the other search warrant at the same time, we needed additional manpower. So we notified our individuals that have been training with our field force, and typically the field force is what we use for potential riot situations or to help us to quell a riot, if you will. And we have to, not that we've had any in a long time, thank goodness, but we do have to make sure we train and we have the equipment for that. So it's just a manpower issue. We used a field force, not the whole field force unit, but just those who were available, those who were willing to come out and help our SWAT team and help our narcotics unit do the search warrant itself.
Yeah, so it is an interesting thing when you look at, we know that we're on the interstate. That creates a different dynamic as far as we're on that route from a lot of drugs pass through this county or have in the past. But it's really, I think, for the public to know how aggressively y'all are doing it is, and then just realizing it's not wasted manpower either when you see what y'all are getting.
Well, we when I first got elected a few years ago now, we reestablished our partnerships with the federal authorities, specifically DEA and ATF and the U.S. Attorney's Office, to help us with this, bringing these these larger drug dealers to justice. So we rejoined these task forces, but that wasn't enough. We wanted to do more. We wanted to show this commitment to reducing the gun violence and reducing the drugs that we have into our community. And as I just mentioned, we added deputies to our narcotics unit. So when you talk about, as you just did, about what commitment we have this the task forces. We have what we call OCDF, for organized crime drug enforcement units, but we also have our own narcotics unit that continues to work, and in fact they're doing twofold type of work, and that's not even counting their uniform patrol and the deputies that can make a traffic stop, and you've seen a couple of those on the news recently, where we stopped a car for whatever reason and end up getting methamphetamine, fentanyl, or whatever on the street. So we're doing our best, and at the same time we're working with our technology, as we've spoken about in the past.
Well, and let's talk about the Real Time Crime Center. That has been a huge hit. I know you're almost every day, every week, you're looking at ways to get more cameras and strengthen it. How's that part coming for you?
It's funny you say that. We had a meeting this morning, and every Wednesday morning meeting that I have, I ask, where are we at on 2 things: on the Montclair camera project that we have been working on over the last year, really, and getting cameras in that area, and that's almost completely done. These things don't happen overnight. We have to get access. We have to get right-of-way permissions. We have to power up the cameras. We have to get connectivity, and all those things are working. So we're almost there on the Montclair camera project. And then I also ask about the Pensacola Beach Boardwalk, which we have just completed the cameras and placed them in various locations at the boardwalk itself. And now we're in that, okay, what's next type of a conversation. And one is that potentially have some cameras on Casino Beach. We had that conversation a couple of years ago when we talked to the Santa Rosa County Island Authority And we decided to go with the boardwalk first and then phase two potentially. I'm not saying they're committing to it, but potentially we'll have a conversation about putting some of those cameras on the casino beach parking lot itself. Right now, we're having to use our mobile or our temporary cameras, and it would be nice to have those cameras in a more permanent solution on Pensacola Beach. That's those are the two things that we talk about almost daily. And then as we keep moving forward, we'll find locations where we think, because of traffic, because of input from our patrol unit and our patrol lieutenants, that hey, it would be nice to have a camera or a license plate reader at this particular intersection because we see a lot of action there.
All right, let's move over to engagement, because that's the other piece that you it's sort of become a part of each one of our interviews, because I kind of know where to go with it. Gosh, I didn't make the dedication ceremony for the memorial, but I have gone by and looked at it. I think you have to be pleased with how that turned out.
I am so proud of to just go inside the office and gaze over, take a look at it.
Right.
I'm so thankful for the foundation and the willingness to step forward and to raise the money. And again, no tax dollars were spent, even though I think probably tax dollars, a lot of people would be okay with tax dollars being spent on honoring our heroes and those who've sacrificed so much. But I'll tell you, a couple weeks ago, we were able to, we didn't dedicate it because we wanted to make sure that the ceremony itself took center stage. But we are planning another event a little bit later on. But to sit there in that venue and to look out across the chairs that were on we'll call the lawn, and then know right behind us, or right behind me at least, was this wall with 15 deputies and 2 canines. And to look at the faces of the families of the fallen deputies, that they have this new grand venue, this focal point at the sheriff's office to honor their family members. And again, you've been by here and you see there's a centerpiece of an etched star in the very middle of it, and it looks fantastic. And then there's some stadium seating on the other side. We're not completely finished with it, but I tell you, credit goes to not just the foundation, but also the contractors that really, really sped up a lot so that we can get that done, and so we could have it ready for our memorial just a couple of weeks ago.
Well, there was a place in the atrium of the building that was fine, but this really touches you so much more, I think. So I think, Whitney and the foundation and putting that together, and the near finished product has turned out well. The other thing that was big is you had another Blazer Academy graduation, girls this time. Those photos are always just heartwarming to see.
We have these classes, the men and the women's, young men and young women's
Right.
Blazer Academies. And then whenever we graduate, it's this opportunity to talk to the parents and talk to the people that are the grandparents, the friends that are responsible for bringing them, and to discuss just a little bit. And sometimes I think, what am I going to talk about? Am I going to tell the story of how it started, why it started? And in this case, I spent a couple of days there, teaching just a small portion of the class, and they'll say something that'll kind of stick with you. They'll say something about their future, or they'll say something about how important it was to have this class itself. So we had a video. Part of our graduation is a quick video of all of the young men or the young women. In this case, it was a young women's graduation. And they were smart enough to interview them for the first day of class. What do you expect from a class? And then later on, and to see that just a change of heart. I don't know what to expect. I'm a little nervous. And then to see the last video where I didn't realize I'd be out talking to people and engaging like I was. It really was an enjoyable time. And that's it in a nutshell. It's to take someone and put them out of their comfort zone a little bit. Have them talk to people, have them talk to peers, have them speak up, have them talk with a confidence and understand where they're at in their lives and where they can be in their lives. And to see, let me give you an example. We have a toast at the end of each academy. And in the Young Men's Academy, I have a hard time, I explained to them what a toast is. Obviously, it's not an alcoholic, but it's a toast to talk about what they're thinking at the time and, pay tribute to the class, to the people, the future, and that sort of thing. And we have a hard time getting young men to agree to give this toast. And I can see it. I would be that same young man. Right. But we had, when Whitney asked for volunteers to give a toast for the females class, she had like 6 people have to try out for this. She had them come up to the front of the class and gave a makeshift toast just to have to weed it out. And she had, I won't speak for her, but she had a difficult time narrowing it down to 2 because we didn't have time for that many. Right. And the 2 that she selected did a fantastic job. It's the difference between young young men's academies, young women's academy, and where they're at with regards to speaking and telling what they feel. It just amazes me every time. So we're very proud of the classes. We're very proud of where we're at on the Blazer Academy, and we're about to start an alumni young men's class here in about 2 weeks.
Oh, great. Well, Chip, thank you for coming on this afternoon. What I'll do is you'll see me close out this episode and leave your computer on this just a little bit, and everything will upload, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
But thank you
Sounds
for
good.
doing this.
All right. Thanks, Rick.
Well, we had a big announcement last month that Landrum has a new president, and it's Kara Bloomberg, and we've got Kara with us this morning. Kara, thank you so much for doing this show.
Hey, Rick, great to see you. I'm happy to be here.
Well, it's great to have y'all downtown.
Yeah.
It's exciting just to have Landrum downtown. Y'all been here for a while, but it's just another great sign of the growth and vibrancy of downtown Pensacola.
That's right. We love being downtown too. Well, we've been in Pensacola for over 50 years now.
Right.
And we had a great office off of Davis Highway that they had been in for decades within Landrum, and that's where I started. And then COVID hit, and we had over 100 plus employees that came into the office every single day, and all of a sudden we weren't coming into the office. So we spent a lot of time reimagining how we were going to work and really what the next steps for us were going to look like. And we made a lot of changes around being more flexible with our workforce, having more opportunities for people to work remote, and also just thinking about the vibrancy, the growth of downtown, how everything is just really alive and really exciting, all the things that are happening downtown. And we wanted to be a part of that too. So we found a great space off of Garden Street. We redid a lot of area in the office to be really collaborative, a lot of great meeting space. We host events here, we host trainings, and it's fun just being here in the office and being able to walk out, go to a restaurant downtown, and we're headed to the Wahoos tonight if this rain doesn't let up. So
Right.
So it's great space.
Well, you look at Landrum and how much it's grown and what a vital role to be able, HR is getting more and more complicated. The laws, the tax requirements, just having to be able to outsource for a small business and for large businesses too, to lean on someone that's an expert in HR is becoming more and more important as it gets more and more complicated. Is that a pretty accurate description? I think it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a complex business, and that's a lot of times why clients need us because HR services aren't always totally black and white. Whenever you're dealing with people, there can be complexity. And so we feel we're really great at dealing with people. And in fact, just in the last year or so, we made a big change, a brand change. And Britt Landrum, the CEO, likes to joke it wasn't that radical, but we actually dropped the HR off of our name. And so if you see on the side of our building, even today downtown in Pensacola, it says Landrum. And the reason we did that is the more we thought about how we work with clients, the more services that we're providing to clients, it isn't necessarily just sitting in a traditional HR box anymore. It's really thinking about how do businesses work with their people? How are they using people to improve their business and grow? And what kinds of services can we provide? So we started out at Landrum as a traditional staffing business 50 plus years ago, and we provided people, and we still do that today in Northwest Florida. It's a critical, important part of our business, and I love how it's weaved into who we are all the time. When people say, hey, where do you work? Whether I'm at the doctor's office or the grocery store and I say Landrum, I can't tell you how many times people say Landrum gave me my first job, or Landrum gave my mom her first job, and so it's such a feeling of pride to be part of so many people's lives in our community that we've helped affect by helping them find great jobs and helping our community grow. And we work with businesses of all sizes. So we do a lot of outsourcing where we do the HR, as you described. We do payroll and benefits. And we also have a national presence now. And a lot of Pensacolians don't necessarily know how we've grown and changed over the years. But we do work with national businesses of all sizes, whether that's doing some consulting work. We do recruiting. We do searches for specialized roles within HR, but also marketing and executives. And that national presence, we have clients and employees in California and Colorado and Texas, really just all over the country. And so it's an exciting time of growth and transition for Landrum. And I'm happy to be a part of that and really sharing the information about all the things that we do today that we didn't necessarily do 50 years ago. And how we've grown and evolved, and what that means to even more services that we can bring into our Pensacola community, because the Pensacola community is certainly growing and evolving. There's a lot more larger businesses, setting root here in Pensacola or growing their business, and they need even more complex services around their people. So it's really just exciting to see all these things that we did nationally, we're doing here locally, because businesses are growing and thriving and changing here in Pensacola, and they even need more than they needed, 20, 30 years ago.
I've got to think, Kara, though, the news that we've been getting, gosh, the last week or so about the growth of AI and what that's going to do to companies and entry level jobs, and how people automate and take advantage of it, and what jobs are going to look like. You're on the precipice of a lot of this movement of, as AI becomes more important, but also figuring out what kind of workforce people need.
Yeah, there's so many facets, and a great questions, great comment there. But I think just one of the most important ways that we try to work with all of our clients, no matter what size, is just asking a lot of great questions around their philosophy as a business and who do they want to be. And as tech emerges, whether that's AI, no matter what it is, what's your philosophy as leaders as to how it fits into your business? How do you see that evolving, the people that you have in the workplace today? What skills do they need? How are we going to help them get to a different place if they need to upskill, if they need to learn new things? What can you bring in to do that? And then what additional talent just doesn't exist in your company today that you need to add? And so we find there's never just a cookie cutter solution, and it's always like slices of a pie. And always thinking about, okay, there's my current workforce, and I want them to be able to grow and evolve and be who we need for the future. So there's some commitment that I have to make to training and education and upskilling. And then I know there's some new talent that's going to need to come into my business, and they're going to bring a whole new set of skills and background. And so we've got to go find those people that are going to fit. And then ultimately, what role does technology have in whatever you do in the way that you serve your clients? Is it going to replace, interactions with people? Are you going to keep people at the forefront of your organization, and you want the technology to be more in the background and kind of doing a lot of things that maybe people did before so they can be more in front of the clients? And so I can tell you that's our answer for Landrum is, and the way we're thinking about our own technology is, it's really a bridge to help our employees have even more time with our clients. And so can we have some tasks that get automated, that are maybe more repetitive, that don't necessarily need people interaction? And can we take those people that are working and great in our company and all that they do, and have them bring even more value to our clients by building better relationships, spending more time with them? And I think a lot of companies are thinking the way we are, of just how do we build up our workforce to do more, and how can we utilize the technology, the AI, to kind of be more of a foundation of things that we don't necessarily need people to touch.
Right. Yeah. And I'm seeing that in our business, in journalism, and as so much information in so many different places, and how you disperse that information, and the way I write an article today is very different than 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And how to get that message across. You look like you're having fun.
I've been here about 8 years, and my background was in insurance. That's how I started: business development, sales and business development, insurance. But I actually have known the Landrums for a very long time, because my son Jake and Britt and Keena's son Braden were in kindergarten together.
That's Pensacola. That's
That's
Pensacola.
Pensacola. And I've known the Landrums. I knew Keena
Right.
first,
Right.
and she was the best room mom ever. And actually, our boys are roommates still at FSU. So they've got a
Great.
long relationship. So it's really special for me because I had a long time of admiring Landrum and knowing who Landrum is, knowing who the people are within Landrum, and just really respecting the business and the people, and then having the opportunity to come in and do some things that were part of my background, and then also being able to grow into learning a lot more about the overall business, and now taking this step as president, which Britt is not stepping back.
Right.
He's still here every day. He's still a great integral part of the business, and we have a great way to work. He has a lot of vision. He brings a lot of strategy and growth perspectives into our business, and I take those and I say, okay, how are we going to go carry this out? And I have good opinions of them myself, and so it's a great, and our leadership team that we have grown here at Landrum, is really buying into how do we take what we've done for the first 50 years and how do we modernize it and make it, even more successful into the next 50 years. And so we've got a great team here, and it's just fun to be here every day.
Well, and I'd like that coming downtown has integrated you even more in the community.
Yeah.
I mean, y'all's outreach, the 5K run that y'all do has become a big deal, kind of part of everybody's fall calendar, and it's given it back to the community. But I think as a whole, it's an exciting time for y'all's business. Definitely an exciting time for you to be a leader in it. I'm going to lean on you in the future to see what kind of trends that you're seeing out there, because I think with your position, the position of Landrum, y'all are on the cusp of a lot of things that are going on. So you'll become one of my experts that I'll lean on.
I love it. Yeah. And if I don't know the answer, I know somebody on my team does, and they're probably a lot smarter than me about it. But, we work with hundreds of clients throughout Northwest Florida of all sizes, of all industries. And we really do have a great pulse on what's growing, what's changing, how are employers thinking. And we try to surround a lot of our programming around, let's get clients together. They may not do the same thing. They may not be the same size, but let's have good conversation. And we brought Ildi Hossman into our organization a number of years ago. And I know you know her. She is absolutely fabulous. She's very networked in the Northwest Florida area, and her passion is around people too. So it was a great fit for us. And Ildi helps us really just think about how do we get people together? How do we have good conversations? Let's do a summit around workplace issues, and let's invite our clients. Let's invite panelists. So we're always trying to think of ways we can use our downtown office space. How can we get clients together? How can we have good conversations? And how can we bring data to them based on all the data that we have of working with all these hundreds of clients in Northwest Florida? And how can it help them be thinking a little bit differently about their business and their growth plan?
Well, great. Well, Kara, thank you so much for doing this show. We will do it often. And listen, I always protect my sources.
Yeah.
So you're okay.
Okay, good. All right. Well, it's great to see you. Thanks so much.
Have a great weekend.
Thanks for watching, and to keep up with what's going on, be sure and subscribe. Just click on the little dog to the right and click the subscribe button. You can also like this video and click on the bell, which will notify you of new content. This really helps the channel grow. We appreciate you.